Madhavi is asking a question like the significance of epilogue in Saint John. See, Madhavi, epilogue is very important because it is where we meet all the characters, the dead characters, the living characters, the past characters, and the future characters. And there we come to know that even those of them, the whole world is selfish, and they just want to keep their selfish ideas and selfish motives, so that tomorrow they would not be, their image would not be tarnished with the association, with their association with John. Okay, they were all under the impression that John is a heretic, John is a person who has been disowned by the church. So her figure is a tarnished figure. Okay, so even the King Charles did not want to carry that image that he was crowned by John, who is banned and banished by the church. But once they all come to know that later in 400-500 years later, she would be canonized as a saint. See, this epilogue is traveling time and space. It's going into the past, it's in the present, it's going into the future, bringing in all the major events that had happened in the life of Joan and that would happen after her death. So it is like a very complex situation. Why did he bring it, the epilogue as an appendage, is to tell the world that even after 400 years, maybe in the 1900s, 400 years after the burning of Joan, the world is still the same. It has not changed a bit. The world is filled with the negative thoughts and selfish motives and greed, and nobody cares for anybody else. So the world continues to be the same. There is nothing wonderful about the world even after 400 years. So the world is not ready to accept people who are very pure, who are very simple, who are very plain. They are either branded as misfits. They are branded as like Joan was branded as a heretic, or they don't belong to this society. So if people are not not hypocrites, they are very pure and they are very plain and they are very simple, the world doesn't give them any space. The world hasn't given any space until Joan's time, and even after Joan's time, 400 years later, also the world continues to be so selfish that it is not giving any space to such people. So the world is very selfish. The world is full of hypocritics. The people are never very clear about themselves. They all wear masks. Outside, they pretend to be good people. Inside, they are very evilish by nature. So double-faced, multi-layered personalities. But society accepts them because that seems to be very common. But if a person who is very pure at heart comes into the society, he is either killed or driven to commit suicide, because there is no space for such kind of people in the society. That's the meaning. Saint John, I was giving clarification about Saint John until now because Madhavi had a question. So now I have completed Madhavi's question. Now for all of you, I would like to tell that we are going to start paper 5, room of one's own. A room of one's own. Let me type. Now, nobody should be asking any questions like which paper, what topic. Now tell me which unit. I will type even that. What is the number of the page? You all tell me. I will type. Tell me, please, the unit. Which unit is this? Third, fourth, or fifth?
Fifth unit to the teacher.
Fifth unit. Okay, fifth unit. Page is already, somebody has written it down. Yeah, right. So now, whoever, see now, I'm throwing a challenge at you all. Even after all this is written, you will get some people asking for page number. I'm throwing a challenge. We will have fun now. Okay? People will ask which page, which unit, which paper, who is talking. All these questions will come after 10-15 minutes. Then I will show you. The fun element begins then. Okay, my dear friends, did you all have your lunch?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good.
Yes, ma'am.
You all had good lunch, right?
What about you, ma'am?
Yes, I went to the college. I had a class at home online, and then I went to the college. I attended a meeting, came back. Then I had my lunch, and then immediately I logged in. Okay, now we will start off A Room of One's Own. Okay, this is written by Virginia Woolf. In your papers, is this paper? No. Literary theory and criticism. You will get to understand this literary criticism and theory in your next year. Okay, but this year I'm just trying to introduce you to a concept called feminism. Okay, you might all have heard what this feminism is, but most people misunderstand the concept of feminism. They think that it is a woman hating man. Okay, the opposite sex. So because she feels that she has been ignored and all that. It's not so. There is no hostility, there is no enmity, there is no hatred, there is no anger, nothing of the negative aspects, negative elements when we are trying to understand feminism. Okay? Everyone should be a feminist. When I am saying this, everyone should be a feminist. I am trying to also bring in men. Men should also be feminists. So if somebody says so and so, my husband's name is Sundar, okay? So I say that Sundar is a feminist. For people who do not understand the right perspective behind it may laugh it off, saying that how can a man be a feminist? A woman is supposed to be a feminist. That's a very wrong conception. That's a very wrong way of understanding the concept of feminism. Okay? Let me now introduce you to this concept in a very clear manner. And see, most of the countries, most of the cultures across the world, many cultures, okay, they all follow the patriarchal social structures. Patriarchal social structures mean, what does that mean? It means that man is at the center. Man claims his central focal position. So he claims it. He owns that. He occupies that space. Okay. Now, no offenses. Please do not think that I am being very partial and all that. We here as literature scholars and literature students should keep our minds very broad. We should be opening up our minds towards different angles, different dimensions, different perspectives, by not looking at one concept from only one side. There are different sides to any subject, not just one side. Okay, there are dimensions that we generally don't get to see, or the dimensions have been covered by traditions. Okay, the many traditions that we have been following very religiously and very with great interest, that this is a tradition, this is a part of our culture, but we have never raised any questions. Why haven't we raised questions? Because we have been told not to question. We have been told by our ancestors or by our parents or by our elders at home that questioning should not be done, because if you are questioning, you are protesting. Okay, you are resisting, you are questioning the very authority of the head of the family, or you are questioning the authority of the society. So these ideas have conditioned the thinking process of many countries, many cultures, that man always positioned himself at the center of the society, claiming his first class citizenship, and then he relegated women towards the margins of the society. Now imagine a small piece of paper. We have in our notes, we have margins, right? In the same way, take the society as your piece of paper, and the center part of it is occupied by the man. So in the margins, you have the margins on your paper. In the same way, women are pushed. They are pushed to the margins. So they didn't go on their own. Okay, they didn't. Women have not asked for the margins as their spaces. Men have pushed women to the margins. So you can ask me now, what are, in what ways man has pushed women to the margins. Now when man is standing in the center, okay, it means he is privileged. Okay, he is it is his fortune that he has been born as a man, and then he is claiming many domains like political domain, economical domain, cultural domain, historical domain, psychological domain, sociological domains, education, jobs, all these things, all these domains have been occupied by the men. And it's only that 1%, 2% of women have claimed the center stage by struggling very hard and by swimming across the current and by slowly gaining the center. A few of them have definitely come with, into the spaces at the center, but it was with great difficulty. Women have always remained at the margins because they were made to be there. They were told that, see, the major domains like economics, politics, history, and all that are for the man, and only the home domain is yours. So the domestic domain is given to the women, and especially the kitchen domain. Okay, so the two domains that were given away to the women are the kitchen and the domestic house. Okay, not even the drawing room, I'm telling you, not even the drawing room. All right, so that is why we can say that the women are the marginalized community. They were considered to be physically weak. Okay, so it's okay when you say that yes, she is physically weak because her body structure is totally different from that of the man's bodily structure. That we may agree, but that's because she had her body programming has been done in accordance with the reproductive system. Okay, so she is considered as weak physically, but when we are looking at it deeply, the kind of the kind of physical pain that she undergoes throughout her life, because she's a woman and she has to pass through many cycles from the age of 12 to by the time she reaches 50, and then the childbirth and many other things, that one dialogue by that Akshay Kumar in that movie Padman. It says, if a man seriously have to bear the pain that a woman bears as a natural cycle, he would die. He cannot take the pain at all. But women, what do? They accept the pain as if it is very common to them. Through the pain, they cook. Through the pain, they do all the household chores. Through the pain, they go to work. So that is the kind of mental strength women are endowed with. Okay, but constantly they are looked down upon by the patriarchal society, calling them as physically weak. In what way you can call them physically weak? Maybe because they may not be carrying 100 kg bag on their back. That's okay, fine. But they are carrying their children in their wombs for 9 months, and the kind of terrible pains that they undergo every time they give birth to a child is like they are putting their lives at stake. It is life and death experience. Okay, that's the mental strength that a woman has. Nobody really discusses this. Always they turn them down by claiming that she is physically weak. Then comes to that intellectual strength. Women are physically weak and intellectually also they are weak. They are not, they do not have the intellectual capacities. They cannot intelligently think. They are not creative. They are not innovative. They are not artistic. They cannot, they cannot think on their own. These are the other areas where women are considered to be lacking in. But no opportunity was given to a woman for a very long time. For a very long time, opportunities were denied to them. Otherwise, you can never say that a woman is intellectually incapable. A woman is not intelligent. How can you say? And how she is not creative. She is not innovative. She is not, imaginative. That imagination also she lacks. So all these, physically she lacks energy and strength. Intellectually, mentally also she is not very high, and she cannot compete with the men. This is the notion with which the entire society, not just in Indian context, Indian cultural context, but in many countries, including America, including Britain, not just in the countries, the conservative traditional countries, but even the Western countries, the same concept is still there. Even today, to November 20th, 2020 also, the same idea continues. Okay, that woman cannot think on her own, she cannot do on her own, she cannot work on her own, she cannot be technically very fast and quick. Intellectually, she is very low. Physically, she is very weak. This kind of branding was done by the man, not by the woman. So, by branding a woman to be inferior intellectually and physically and emotionally and psychologically, a woman in any society has been pushed to the margin. 1 second, please. I am taking a call. Okay. See now, look at the chat, 2:25 p.m. Page number, please. Did I not throw a challenge at you? That this definitely comes? ఖచ్చితంగా అడుగుతారని చెప్పానా లేదా? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. See, you 100 times you tell him, they'll ask for the page number. That is why I tell you, don't ask for page numbers. Okay, now let's go back. Okay, now this is a very interesting topic that we are discussing. So the most important aspect here is that there is this gender difference. Okay, so what we think of gender is male and female. In our application forms we fill the boxes gender, male and female. See, this gender is not biological. Let me be very, very clear about this. See, I am not stating this. This is a theory. We are talking about a theory. Okay, boy and girl, see, that is sex. Okay, biological. It means that a boy is born with such and such an organ, so he is a boy. A girl is born with such and such an organ, so she is a girl. So that is determined by the biological organs. Whereas gender is not based on the biological setup. Okay, the biological makeup. Gender is absolutely cultural. Gender is cultural. What does it mean? It means that, see, when a 2-year-old girl or 3-year-old girl, she's or let me tell you about a 3-year-old boy. 3-year-old boy is a small child, of course, a baby. Okay, and so when he falls down, he runs around and he falls down. Then he starts crying because he was hurt. But people around him, don't cry like a girl. Don't cry like a girl. So that kind of an identity, the opposite identity is given to him, that what he is not what he is. What he is not is what he is. Like, he is not a girl, so he should not cry. He is not a girl, so he should not be cooking. He is not a girl, so he should not be taking care of the household chores. So right from his coherent age, he has been conditioned. Okay, the brain is conditioned in such a way that if he ever cries, everybody has emotions, boys or girls. They all undergo upheavals emotionally. But when they cry, they feel so inferior that I shouldn't be crying openly. If I cry openly, they will brand me as a woman, like womanly. Next, if a girl is running around the trees, she is jumping, then the mother and father tell her, don't behave like a boy. Don't run around like a boy. Don't play the games of a boy. So the identity of the girl is given to her by not what she is, but what she isn't. Okay, you are a girl, they are not telling. You are not a boy. You are a boy. No, they are not telling. You are not a girl. This is very dangerous. The kind of identity given to the children right from their coherent age is the opposite of not what you are. But they are not telling what you are. So that is damaging their psyche. As they grow, they always think in the opposite way. So I shouldn't be doing this because I am not this. I shouldn't be laughing because I'm not a boy. As a boys can laugh, girls should not laugh. Boys cannot cry, girls can cry. So these are the cultural dictates that define the gender, the male and the female. Of course, today other genders have also come into the, officially on the records. The third gender also has been accepted by the mainstream society. So if that's the case, then what is feminism? Feminism, it actually encourages a woman to think, allows her to think. You should be able to think on your own. Decisions you should take. Whether, see, for example, I am a very good, I'm a staunch feminist. Sharada, as I am, it's not because I am an educated woman, but right from my childhood, I have been taking the decisions that would affect my life. Like I wanted to study English, so I studied English. Okay, and then I wanted to work as a professor, so I am. Or I wanted to marry this person, so I married. So all the choices that I made in my life are my own. Okay, I made the choices. I wanted to study this. I wanted to do this. I wanted to marry this person. I wanted to have only one single child. So any decisions, serious decisions that generally wouldn't be allowed to a woman. Okay, in many cases, how many number of children you should be giving birth to is decided by the in-laws. But in my case, I didn't allow them to decide for me. I decided it for myself. So if I'm marrying, who is the person that you want to marry is decided by your parents, not by you. So there also I took my decision. What you have to study, I took my decision. What you have to work, I took my decision. So the major decisions I took in my life, that makes me a feminist, because I am thinking. Okay, when the just not the decisions, but also I am ready for the repercussions that would come by taking such kind of decisions. I am ready for that. Okay, so I am a feminist because I am thinking on my own and I am doing things on my own. Huh? What happened? I'm thinking on my own. I'm doing things on my own. I'm taking my own decisions, and I'm at the same point, I'm not a rebel. Okay, I'm not a rebel. You should be here trying to understand the difference between being a rebel and being a feminist. Okay, rebels would be totally. It's totally different. It's the extreme end. There are very few kinds of, that is called radical feminism. Okay, I am not a radical feminist. I am a feminist because I am proving myself as an intellectually capable woman. I am proving myself as a woman who can be creative, innovative, and articulative, and aesthetically also I am capable of producing good things. Like maybe I'm writing, I'm doing many things. So I'm proving out to the world that by choosing my own fields, I'm doing better and I'm leading a better life. So there are many women who are not as fortunate as I am. I can say that I am very fortunate because people around me have understood me and have extended the same opportunities. My parents have extended me the same opportunities that they have extended to my brother. So I never knew the difference between being a girl and being a boy, because there was no partiality, there was no bias, there was no discrimination, whatever, within my environment that I grew. Okay, so I'm continuing the same kind of culture at my home by not being partial at all towards my child. Okay, so you are a girl, so you should not be doing this. No, whatever decision you want to take about your life, please do that. But see to it that it's not going to go boomerang on you negatively. Think of it. Think of the repercussions. Think. So thinking is important for a woman. A woman who can think on her own is a feminist. And all the rights, she has many rights, okay, but no right is extended to her. Right to education, right to legal knowledge, every right she has. But if you see, many women are even not considered as human beings. Seriously, I'm telling you, because there I know of a woman who is very good, and then she is working and all that, but she is treated like an object, without any human qualities, without any human emotions. Okay, see how horrific it is to listen to such kind of sorry stories, even in the 21st century, where women are considered as just objects of desire, objects of pleasure, and not as a human being with endowed and gifted with so many qualities, beautiful qualities she is gifted with. Okay, but those gifts are never allowed to flow freely. So that is the problem in our society. So the society, what is it doing is, it is very partial, it is very biased, it is very discriminatory, and it shows a difference between being a man and a woman. So when a girl is born, people around then, see, when I was young, when I did not really know that the society would be so multi-layered. I did not know, because I was growing up in a very protective environment. I didn't know about the bias, I didn't know about such kind of things until and unless I started reading literature. When I became a literature student, after I started reading different books, I understood that these are the so many issues, so many problems, so many predicaments that are there within the society. Okay, so the awareness is helping me to as a teacher, as a professor, whenever I get such kind of an opportunity, especially in the CDE classes where women are all of my age, or sometimes they they might have left their studies because they got married and they got into family ways and all that, because of which there were so many hindrances, they couldn't pursue their higher education. But I congratulate all of them who have again started thinking about their education, thinking about their career, thinking about their future, about their what to be done tomorrow. That is why they have joined CDE, and that is why I always appreciate the women who come to distance education to pursue their higher education, because I at least am so happy that at this point of time they have started thinking on their own. So this is what is feminism. Okay, so it's not just about a man or a woman being a feminist or not, but a man should also be a feminist. I told you, my father is a feminist, my brother is a feminist, my husband is a feminist, which is why they allowed me to think, and then they extended equal opportunities. So I made use of the opportunities. Making use of the opportunities in a positive or a negative manner depends upon me. But I took over the opportunities, and then I proved successful by getting into a wonderful job like this, where I can be talking to many people, and I can be also influencing through my experiences. People, many women who are there listening to me now, that yes, whatever decision they have taken is wonderful, is excellent, is so beautiful, which is going to turn their lives into greener pastures because of the education. So education is like a weapon. Education is going to help you to combat many social evils and ills in the society. Education is like an empowerment. Okay, so now you are all empowered. You are on the way to be empowered. Once you complete your PG, you will get better jobs, and then you can be independent, and then you can start thinking on your own. Maybe financially you will be better off. And this part is also very important. Being independent financially is an important part. Okay, why? So many women I know who wouldn't even have a single paisa with them, and for every small thing they have to ask father, when they were young, then husband when they were in their middle ages, and then the son when they grow old. So throughout their lifetime, for whatever reason, they were never independent. They were never independent. So for a woman to be really empowered, she should be educated and she should be financially independent. Financial independence gives you so much of freedom. So much of freedom, so much of confidence. But that should not go to the heads. Like, see, I am earning, so I am very superior. I don't have to care for anybody, and all that should not affect our mind negatively. Okay, our financial independence should give us confidence, but not overconfidence. Our education should give us confidence, but empowerment, but not overconfidence and superiority feeling. Everybody is equal. Nobody is superior and inferior. Everyone is equal. In whatever way, if you think that okay, your income is more than your husband, you are not superior. If your education is more than your husband, you are not superior. If your husband's job is more than yours, he is not superior. Nobody is superior here. Everybody should be equated on the same lines. Equality, purely equal, half and half. Only then the life goes on smoothly. Without realizing this concept, many lives are shattered, many prejudices, many hypocrisies are bringing the families down. The relationships are going astray because of this inferior superior kind of ideas that damage the fabric of the relationship. So, my dear students, whoever is listening to me, please do not ever think that you are inferior, neither you are superior. You are equal. That is all. Equal to your male partner, equal to your brother, equal to your sister. Everybody is equal. Nobody is. See, if I am earning 10 rupees extra, that doesn't mean I can show my ghamandi. Nothing. No, nothing of that sorts. But that, what happens then? That the family relationships get damaged. So there is nothing like inferior superior. There should always be a path towards equality. Husband and wife are equal. In the patriarchal society, it is always the husband who has been given that highest pedestal and the wife at the lowest. But if that is there is a difference. You see, he is sitting up there and she is sitting down here. So there is a difference. Why? Because there is a difference, there is no balance. In the family, if there should be balance, like two wheels of a chart. If the two wheels of a chart are equally positioned on either side, only then the chart moves. Chariot moves, and one wheel in the sky and one wheel in the earth. You can't expect the chariot to move it doesn't move at all. That is how equality should work and operate within every space, work space, domestic space, and every space. Okay, so this is the background to understand room of one's own. Okay, feminism is something which we all need to be aware of in order to understand the text. How are you all now? Are you all okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Is it like boring or we have heard this many times?
No, ma'am. No, it's
No, ma'am.
wonderful.
Wonderful. Yeah, I know because see, I definitely would like to take every year. I would like to take the CDE classes just because I get to meet many women who are in their middle ages. Okay, 35, 40, 45, 50, and then they want to study. So it is such a beautiful transformation, and they how they experience this. One second, please. I'm getting a call. Okay, if I'm not coming back after 2 minutes, don't worry. I'll give you 2 minutes break. See, there is somebody at the door. Okay, I'll just give them something that I should be giving them, signature kind of a thing, and I will come back in 2 minutes. So don't go away. Don't be confused. Reshma, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Ruhina, Salomi,
Yes,
Prabha.
Okay, ma'am.
Don't run away. Don't escape. I'll come back.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you all there?
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So, so this is what feminism is all. That is how we need to understand feminism, not as superior or inferior, but as what?
Equal.
Wonderful. Equal. Okay, nobody is inferior, nobody is superior. Man and woman both should be treated equally. Okay, and now we will get down to the text, room of one's own. Now you would not have understood this room of one's own without understanding the basic background. What is the background? Feminism. Okay, so Virginia Woolf is a strong feminist of the early 20th century. She had written many texts, novels, and many other things. One second. Sorry for that. Okay, so this Virginia Woolf, she is considered as one of the greatest feminist women writers of English literature. And she belongs to the first half of 20th century. And whatever she had written was reflecting the feminist perspectives, like how women should be given equal opportunities in all the respects and aspects, in the cultural, social, economical, political, intellectual areas. So room of one's own. Look at the title. See, room. Okay, a room. Does any woman have a room of her own? So room here is space. Okay, we are all talking about space. That let me be given my own space. Please, I should be given my space to think. On those lines, today many of them are talking. But she had talked about it some 100 years ago, that a woman should be given her own room. Why? If she is given her own room, she can become a very successful writer. Now we are trying to shift to understand how Virginia Woolf is encouraging women to become writers. Okay, so we understood that men have always, they have always been considering women as intellectually inferior. That's important. Intellectually inferior means they cannot think, they cannot write, they cannot be creative, they cannot be innovative, they cannot be imaginative. This is what men have always not thought about women. So now what Virginia Woolf is trying to tell in this essay is that women should also come out from their shells, break the shells and come out and start writing and making money. Okay, if a woman has to make some money, if a woman has to write a piece of story, a novel or a short story, she has to have a room of her own. Okay, I don't know how many women would here really enjoy their own rooms. I don't know, because many women consider kitchens as their rooms. That is how the society has conditioned them to think. Like, kitchen is your room, so go spend your time there. It's not. I'm not saying it is bad. It's a part of our life. Like any other room, kitchen is a room where we cook, but that shouldn't become our room. It should not become our space. Our spaces are totally different spaces. We should start exploring the different spaces. Okay, by such explorations, we would be empowered. That is what Virginia Woolf tells. See, it all began, Virginia Woolf, he's in this essay, is taking a fictional name. Okay, fictional name. It like Mary Seton or Mary Beton, any other name. She calls herself by many different names. Okay, so she says it seems she has visited a university, Oxbridge University. Everything is given in your book, so don't worry. So what is this university, Oxbridge University? It is like Oxford plus Cambridge. Oxford plus Cambridge. These two universities are most popular and prestigious premier universities in the world, Oxford and Cambridge. But if you look at the alumni or the professors who have all worked for years together, you will come across only men students, you will come across only male professors. Okay, so that is why that is why she creates a fictional university. Oxbridge is a fictional university, an imaginary university. So it seems she had gone to this university. Okay, all this is a fictional imagination. She didn't really go to any university called Oxbridge. There is no university called Oxbridge. She has just given an extension, manifestation of her imagination. Here is Oxbridge. So she had gone there. Okay, a woman. And there she sat in front of a huge library. And the library is so stately and so imposing. The building, the library building itself is symbolic of knowledge. She sits in front of the building and then she starts, thinking. Okay, there she starts thinking. Her imagination starts flowing. And then as she thinks, she crosses over onto a lawn, green lawn, and the security guard shouts at her. So she suddenly comes back to normal mode, and then her creative thinking has been interrupted. So she starts thinking creatively, imaginatively, and she is crossing the lawn. And the security guard shouts at her that she has trespassed the lawns. So here, symbolically, we can say that a woman, when she enters into the creative world, she is interrupted by men, symbolically. So that space is not meant for women, it is only for men. So men interrupt women when they try to be creative and imaginative. This is highly symbolic. Then she tries to enter the library. Okay, library is what? It is the symbol of knowledge, information, and all. Meena, yeah. So there the guard again stops her. Look at this. This is a woman trying to gain entry into a library to browse through the books to gain knowledge. But she stopped there at the entrance by the security. Then she questions them. Why have you stopped me? Then the security tells her that she can enter with a male companion. Only if she has somebody by her side, she can be allowed inside the library. Otherwise, she has no entry. Again, this is symbolic. See, if any woman wants to gain knowledge, if she is seeking knowledge, if she is trying to explore the areas of knowledge, it is symbolically to be understood that she cannot do it all by herself. She needs some help. Are you able to get this point? This is important, my dear students. This is symbolic. Okay, she cannot enter into a library. Library is knowledge. It means that a woman cannot enter into the areas where knowledge is preserved. Only with a male companion she is allowed. It means that she is not allowed to gain knowledge without a male companion by her side. Okay, she can't do it on her own. She is not eligible to do it all by herself. And when she tries to think and the process of thinking begins, she is interrupted. And she is told that, no, this is not your domain. It is men's domain. So the highly symbolic levels, she starts off to tell that if a woman has to write, she has to have her own room and good financial investment. She has to be financially independent. And then she sees around images which are very, where poverty and then all that she comes across images, and then she understands that a woman remains very poor and she can never come up in life until and unless she is empowered by education and by being financially independent. So that is one important point she shares. The next point is she is creativity, how women are not allowed to be creative. And she takes us into the late 15th century and the early 16th century of England. That period is called Elizabethan period because Queen Elizabeth was ruling London at that time. So that was the time when Shakespeare was ruling the roost. He was considered then and now as the best dramatist ever, a great genius, a big scholar, and all that titles have been given to Shakespeare. Now the question of Virginia Woolf is, what if Shakespeare had a sister? If he had a sister and she also was born with the same talent, same gifted, creativity like Shakespeare, would she be given the same opportunities? Don't you think this is a wonderful question that Virginia Woolf is raising? Had Shakespeare, if he had a sister with the same kind of genius and creativity, both of them, okay, both Shakespeare and his sister. So she gives an imaginary name to Shakespeare's sister called Judith Shakespeare. Okay. Judith Shakespeare, she calls him. We don't know whether Shakespeare really had a sister or not, but Virginia Woolf imagines a sister to Shakespeare and calls her Judith Shakespeare. Now, Judith Shakespeare is the imaginary sister of Shakespeare. And she was born with the same talent, with the same genius, with the same innovation and creation. What would be the status of Judith Shakespeare? Can anybody tell? Shailaja?
What's the question, ma'am?
She will not be accepted by the society of 16th century.
Yeah, right. She wouldn't be accepted by the 15th and 16th century society. Why?
Because of gender differences.
And would she be really honored for her scholarship?
No,
Would people honor her the same way they have honored Shakespeare?
No.
No, not never, isn't it? Not in those days, at least. Not in those days, at least. What, Shailaja Santosh, what do you want to say now? Tell me. Do you think Shakespeare's sister would have been given the same status as much as it was given to Shakespeare? Iqbal?
Discrimination continues, no, ma'am. Then she can't acquire any scholarship.
Yeah. See, Virginia Woolf says that if Shakespeare had a sister and her name is Judith Shakespeare, and that she is also same on the lines with her brother, same genius and all that, she would have run away from her home. Okay. She would have at the age of 16 or 17 because she was not being recognized at home. She was not being recognized outside by the society. And she would be really driven, passionately driven to do something. She would have loved to come out of the house and contribute in a way to the drama of English, of England. So she would have run away from home at a very young age and would have, got into a very wrong company, and she would have got married to a theater artist, and by the age she would be 19-20, she would have committed suicide. This would have happened to Judith Shakespeare. If there was any real sister of Shakespeare, she would have committed suicide. Very pathetic, very tragic death she would have had, because Shakespeare would be enjoying wonderful status. He would be receiving all kinds of acknowledgement, appreciation and all that. And his sister would be thrown out of the house. She would have married a wrong person. She would have fallen into wrong companions. And then she would have committed suicide. All the gifts that she was born with would have ended tragically. It would have been a tragic death. This would have happened. This is the result of discrimination. This is the result of gender inequality. This is the result of gender partiality and gender bias. So with that wonderful example, the second point was that. So first point was what? That a woman should be given a room of her own and some money to become a writer. Next, otherwise she would be continuing to live in poverty. Next, what did she say? Women are not allowed into the knowledge centers without any male companion. That another point is, had Shakespeare's sister Judith Shakespeare been there, she would have committed suicide. She would not have received the same kind of acknowledgement that Shakespeare had then and now received. Okay, do you agree with this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then we will go to the next point. Okay, we will go to the next point. What is that other point she wants to raise is, during the 17th century, especially during Shakespearean time, women were not allowed to even allowed to act on the stage. Okay? Shakespeare's writings, for example, if you take Romeo and Juliet, everybody knows about Romeo and Juliet. You know who was playing Juliet at that time when Shakespeare was alive? The society was so conventional, the society was so traditional and orthodox, even in England, that a woman was not allowed to play the role of a woman. So a boy who was around 16 to 17 years, even before he could grow the beard fully, such tender looking boys were selected to act as girls. So Juliet was never played by a girl. Juliet was played by a boy. Or Desdemona, or Miranda and the other characters created by Shakespeare, all the women characters, queen characters, all of them were played by boys and men. Isn't it very, very derogatory to listen to this? Oh, is that so? Even during the Shakespearean period, this happened in England? Yes. So, imagine if women were not allowed to act on the stages, would they be allowed to show their creativity on paper and come up with writings? No. So, 17th century, only one lady called Afra Ben, she wrote some dramas, Afra Ben, in the 17th century. She had she had broken all the norms of the then society, and she came into the forefront by writing dramas. Here and there, very rare cases. In very rare cases, you could come across then women writing. Then, if you come to the 18th century, George Eliot. Okay, there is one writer called George Eliot. By the name, you may think that it is him. No, George Eliot is a woman. George Eliot is a woman, but she knew that if any woman is writing, no publisher will come forward to publish her books. Maybe her husband would not allow her to write. So secretly she was writing and keeping the papers under the sofas, under the carpets. And then she took a pseudonym. Her name is Mary Percy. Okay? But she did not get it published under her original name. Huh? My voice is breaking? Everybody?
Voice is breaking, ma'am.
Only for you, Sureka, or for the others also?
Yeah, it is fine from my side, ma'am. No problem.
Okay, then Sureka, there is a network issue with you.
It is fine, ma'am.
Sureka, network is weak. Okay, so now let me go back.
Okay, ma'am. Now it's okay, ma'am.
Okay, so George Eliot, the name she has taken, a man's name she has taken as her pen name, and she got her books published. So when people started reading the books, they were surprised that how can a man write so well about women's problems, women's experiences? Then this entire episode of a woman writing under the pseudonym of a man has come out. So please, what you have to get here, the point is that women were not given intellectual freedom. Okay? Even if they had freedom, they were hiding. They were writing under different male names. Then came the other period, slowly 18th century, then Jane Austen, and then George Eliot, and then Bronte sisters. Slowly, the change had come in the society where women started writing. But what kind of writing did they do? Only writing novels. They did not write poems. They did not write dramas. They wrote only novels. Why? Because at that point in the 18th century, novels were that genre, the form of novels was introduced very recently in the 18th century. So that genre of novel was picking up very fast, and these new novelists, women novelists like Jane Austen and Bronte sisters, they thought it is easy to write a novel than to write a poem. So they started writing novels slowly. Then that's one point. Then another point that Virginia Woolf raises is when she had gone to the library to look for the material, the poems, the dramas, the literature, short stories, novels written by women, she found very minuscule, there all that literature can be written by women can be put in one shelf. So in such a big library, all the writing was done by men. If you are searching for women writers, you will find them only in small shelf. That is the discrimination. That is the discrepancy. Okay, now let us go to the men. And when they are writing about women, what kind of writing did they write? So, see, women's experiences, women's culture, women's language, women's psychology, women's body, they are all totally different from that of man. Okay, that's important. That is very important. See, her own experiences, her psychology, her emotions, her body, her understanding of her body, her language is confined only to her own limits. How can a man get into the area of women and understand the experiences of a woman, and he writes about it? A man writes about women's experiences. A man writes about women's, stories. And if he is writing, is he really doing justice to women? He will write only from his point of view. See, for example, there is a, you can say, okay, there is a thief. Okay, there is a thief. Just I am giving you an example. There is a thief and a police officer, right? So you have gone to the police officer to take the story of the thief. So what will the police officer tell? He will narrate the story of the thief from the point of view of he being a police officer. So he will give the story from the point of view of the police officer. So he says that fellow is a anti-social element, and he is a threat to the health of the society and all that. Now, let's go to the thief and ask him the story. So the thief will say that he was forced into this because he was orphaned at a very young age. When he was just 2-3 months old, his mother, who was cheated on by his father, by father, has left him somewhere on the roads. So he grew up on the roads. The society had turned him into a thief. Society didn't give him love. Society didn't give him food. Society didn't give him any space. So automatically what happens to him? He becomes an antisocial. So this is his story. But what is the policeman's story? That he is a thief. So now you will understand both the stories only if you listen to the two versions. If you are listening only to one version of the policeman, you will not understand the thief. You will hate him. But if you listen to the thief story, you will feel sympathetic towards him. You will start empathizing towards his experiences. Isn't it? Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you know what happened? All these years, until the 20th century, late 18th century, the story of the women was written by the man. From whose perspective? Through what lens? From man's lens, from man's perspective, from man's idea towards women. So what will he write about women? That she is inferior, that she is this, that she is weak, that she is psychologically weak, that she is this. She is a lovely woman, she is an object of desire, she is physically beautiful. Only that he will talk about. Are you able to get this point? How he looks at a woman? He looks at a woman like a beautiful, physically beautiful person. He will look at the woman as physically, intellectually, emotionally inferior woman. So he writes his stories only on these lines. Now, if a woman writes, what does she write? She gives her own experience. She gives her own ideas. She gives her own, experiences that come from within the culture that she was born into. So naturally, two different perspectives. Okay, so what Virginia Woolf tells is women should start a different tradition of writing, that is women's writing. It is not men who should, it is not men writing about women, but women writing about women. Women writing about women. Only then the real experiences come out. Only the truth comes out. Only then the truth comes out. But when man is writing about women, partial truth comes out. Most of it is hidden. Most of it is covered. So did you get this point? Women should write about women. Only then, see, a poor man's story written by a rich man. Rich man goes, he's so rich that he goes by BMW, he lives in a big house. Can you imagine him writing about a poor beggar on the road? Do you think there is emotion in that story? Do you think he can carry the emotion into the story? His heart, he has eaten fully, okay? In the afternoon, he had a wonderful spread of lunch, chicken, biryanis, ice creams and all that. He ate and sat at the table to write about the hunger of a beggar. Is that really accepted? No. In the same way, a beggar cannot imagine, he may imagine the experiences of a rich man, but he cannot undergo the experiences of a rich man. A man may imagine the experience of a woman, but he can never experience the experiences of a woman. So the experiences of a woman can be written clearly, honestly, in all its fullest meaning, only by a woman. So Virginia Woolf is encouraging the women to come about, to break their shells of isolation and all that, and then start writing. And finally, what she tells is, androgynous society, she is desiring for this kind of an androgynous society, not androcentric. Androgynous is man and woman are equal. Both should be there equally on the same scale, on the same balance. They should be there. They should be complementing each other. A woman should be complementing the man. The man should be complementing the woman. Without the woman, man is incomplete. Without the man, woman is incomplete. So they complement each other. They complete each other. Only together they become a one whole unit. So she is aiming at such kind of a society where equality is given to both the genders. Okay? So this is about room of one's own. I am sure you have understood it. Can you tell me a few points? Have you understood, my dear students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Amina?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, can one of you tell me about Judith Shakespeare?
Ma'am, if
Judith Shakespeare is the fictional.
Madhavi, yeah.
yes, ma'am. Judith Shakespeare is a fictionary, imaginary character of Virginia Woolf. She imagined as a sister of Shakespeare. If she has the same knowledge, she possesses the same knowledge as Shakespeare, yet she couldn't accepted by the society, by the parents. She would have run from the home. From her home at her age, she would be cheated by someone. At the age of 19, she would have died.
Yes. Wonderful, Madhavi. All of you, please clap for Madhavi. Good, Madhavi. Thanks. So, what is androgynous society, Chandrasekhar? Can Chandrasekhar answer or anybody else? Shravya is ready? Who is ready?
Equal opportunities should be given to the men and women.
Okay, fine. Right, Shailaja, wonderful answer. Shailaja, claps for Shailaja. Good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next is, what is patriarchal society's idea about women? Who is answering?
Patriarchal society is a male-dominated society where women were suppressed and women were not allowed to participate in any monetary fields, or they were not allowed to express their views in literary grounds. They were not allowed to read and not allowed to any institutions.
Wonderful. So, what is your name?
Fanikumari.
Fanikumari, claps for Fanikumari.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good. So, have you all understood why a woman should have a room of her own? Who is giving me the answer?
To become independent.
Because of the
Princess.
Ruhina, who wants to answer?
Own space, madam. She has own space.
Yeah, she has to have her own space. Right. Yes. Now you are all ready to go straight to the exam and write. Whatever you have listened to now, you go there and write. That is all. Enough. You have got all the points. You have understood all the points. So point wise, if you go ahead, you will get good marks. It's not just for the sake of the examination, but also for our own benefit, for our own knowledge. It's good to be like you all. I'm so happy that you are all listening so well. Now let's take a break. I will come back at around, at what time you want me to come back? I'll have some coffee. I have to make some coffee, hot coffee. I'll have my coffee and come back. At what time do you want me to come back for the next session?
3:50.
Okay. 350, Shailaja?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, bye. I'll come back at 350.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Next session.
ఏ లేదా అబ్బాయి దగ్గర గుయ్యి వస్తుందండి సౌండ్ వస్తుంది స్పీకర్ బాగా సౌండ్ వస్తుంది
Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have your tea break? Did you have your tea in between?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good. Shall we start? We'll go back to poetry. We began with Wasteland, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Next. Yes, who is that sweet voice? The little girl is talking. Okay. Now we will now go to Second Coming and Easter 1916. Okay. Second Coming and Easter 1916, written by W.B. Yeats. W.B. Yeats. Now it's up to you about the page number and all. How many of you like reading poems? Do you think poems are all very difficult?
Yes, ma'am.
Poems are difficult?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, the depth of the poem will be difficult to understand, ma'am. Reading poem is somewhat easy, but the understanding and so it will be difficult.
Understanding it is difficult. Okay, no problem. It actually, if you
It does not give clarity, ma'am.
Is it? But I love poetry. Other than any other genre, I love poetry. Whatever research I am doing nowadays, I am into poetry. I enjoy analyzing poetry. Okay, now let's begin with Second Coming. The Second Coming. See, we have understood in the initial days of our course that during the early years of 20th century, people were all getting drifted away from the anchor called spiritualism. They started, turning away from religion or religious texts, and then spirituality. All these things, they thought that they are all created for the man to lead a disciplined life, but there is no God. Okay, so that's how we understood. But for that kind of an understanding to emerge in the 20th century, the previous century, the 19th century, also contributed in a way. For example, science and advancement in science and technology, and then many explorations, and then the industrialization and middle class people going up the ladder of the society, and finally Charles Darwin's theory that man has evolved from ape naturally but he was not created by the God. All these have contributed towards the interpreting of man or interpreting of man that there is no God. So once that had happened, the discipline within him started dissolving. He started drifting away. That made many philosophers, thinkers, prophets, poets, all of them felt very upset over this new development. Poets are not just filling in their pages with their writings. They are great philosophers. Through their poems, through their writings, they are contributing to the fund of philosophical knowledge and also seeing a vision. They are visionaries. They want the future to be better with all the human values intact. They also are prophets. They also are great thinkers. Poets are not just writers. There are many other facets, dimensions to their personality. We should never strike them down saying that, okay, they are so difficult to understand. They may be difficult to understand, but they are carrying a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. What is this responsibility? Social, cultural responsibilities they are carrying on themselves as a responsibility of a citizen who would help the others to come out of their blind ideas that actually damage them. Okay, so we can take W.B. Yeats as one of them, like what Wasteland T.S. Eliot had done through his Wasteland. What did he try to tell us? That our hearts are dry and waste when the hearts are not nourished by spiritualism. We ought to become compassionate, charitable, and keep our emotions in control so that we can enjoy peace. Who said this? It's not some great prophet or a great prime minister or president. It's a poet who said this. So through these ideas, we can understand that poets also are great visionaries who want the society to be very healthy, and they think about the welfare and the well-being of the people. That's their responsibility. That's what they think about their profession of writing. W.B. Yeats also, after seeing, the World War, the aftermath, and then people dying and people going away from the spiritual side of life. One second. Okay, so he now. What happens is he is W.B. Yeats is an Irishman. He is from Ireland. Okay, and he is a very spiritually inclined person. And when he saw that the people are all leaving the God's side and going on to the side of material pursuits, he felt very bad. And he also has a concept of history. His own concept of history is that the history, the human history, the entire history runs in cycles. Like every 2000 years, the history comes to an end and a new history begins. That is W.B. Yeats' philosophy. Okay, that is WB8's philosophy. Every 2000 years, one cycle comes to an end and another cycle begins afresh. So he says that now that he is in 1920s or so, he has understood that in some years, the entire cycle is going to collapse, because 2000 years ago, the cycle which began after the death of Christ, 2000 years have passed by, and it is time for the cycle to come to an end, and another cycle of 2000 years is going to begin. That's his philosophy. According to him, he symbolically he brings in one gyre. Okay, gyre, Gyre. Gyre. Gyre is a conical shaped object. Okay, it looks like a ice cream cone. Ice cream cone. How if you overturn it? Okay, if you keep it upside down, how it looks like a triangle. Okay, sharp cone. So he brings in the example of this gyre, and he says that now try to imagine the cone. You keep it upside down and hold it by the tip. Okay, by the tip, that small tapering end. So that is the center. Okay, that is the center. And then the place where generally the open place where the ice cream is, the scoop of ice cream is kept. Okay, you look at that, it is the hollow space. Now there is no ice cream. Okay, it's the hollow space. Now, according to WB8, the center, that is the tip, is very strong and concrete when 2000 years ago. So when the center is very strong, everything was held tightly. Everything was held tightly. And then the gyre, that is a cone. Okay, the gyre is the cone here. It is a conical shaped object. Okay, so it is moving. It's for example, if you hold the upside down cone in your hands, and if it's moving, move it. It goes on round and round and round and round and round. It rotates. So each rotation is called a gyration. Okay, but the gyration is within the limits only when the center, that is the tip, is intact. Okay, but when the center is no longer tight, what happens to the movements? You imagine when the center is not strong, the gyration will be not within the limits, it goes out of the limits and breaks. It breaks. Okay, so it's a complex idea. Had there been a board, I would have drawn it on the board and showed you. But I am trying to make you use your imagination. Hold the ice cream cone without any ice cream by the tip and turn it upside down and start moving it. And and start moving it. It rotates in a very cyclical fashion. But once the tip is broken, do you think it will go in a very correct orbit? No, it breaks away from the orbit and falls. In the same way, 2000 years ago, when the rotation started of the historical cycle, the center was very intact. What is at the center? Spiritually, the center was intact. People were religiously connected with one another. They were spiritually properly nourished, and they received proper succor from spiritual strength. But as the days and years, 2000 years have passed by, the center is broken. Center is broken, so there is no spiritual strength. So if the center is broken, what happens to the gyre? It also collapses. So by the end of the 2000 year, the whole historical cycle of 2000 years is going to collapse. And the decay is so fast that one cannot actually handle the decay. One cannot repair the decay. Okay, so what W.B. Yeats thinks is that center has lost its control. What happens when center loses its control? Everything goes wrong. What is lying at the center? Supposed to be there at the center. Spiritual strength is supposed to be holding the center tight. If the spiritual strength itself is dissolving, is under question, how can you expect the center to be holding itself tightly? It is giving away. It is breaking. When the center is breaking, the entire gyre also is breaking. And by the time 2000 years we would reach, the whole gyre is going to collapse. Then a new gyre will start again. That means second generation. 2000 years of one generation have completed. Second coming will start another 2000 years. Okay? According to W.B. Yeats, every 2000 years, one cycle, historical cycle, automatically, naturally comes to an end. And another cycle gets renewed. After 2000 years, again that cycle comes to an end. Again another cycle will start. So this cycle continues. That is what the idea of W.B. Yeats is. So if you look at the lines, the lines that W.B. Yeats starts his poem is with wonderful lines. What he says is, he said, turning and turning the gyre. Now you know what gyre is, okay? The gyre is turning. Turning and turning the gyre, the widening gyre. The falcon cannot hear the falconer. The falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart and the center cannot hold. These are the very famous lines in the history of English literature. Now let us try to understand what it means. See, turning and turning the widening gyre. As the turning began 2000 years ago, today after 2000 years, the gyre is becoming wider. So wide rotation, it went into wide rotation. So what is happening? He is bringing in another symbol here. What is the symbol? There is a bird called falcon. It is a very big, huge bird of prey. It looks like eagle. It belongs to the family of eagles. And it is a very ferocious bird. And in the Arab countries, these birds are trained to hunt. It's a game. It's a game. So the one who trains the falcon, the bird falcon, is called the falconer. Okay. So what he does is the falconer, the trainer, he carries the bird on his arm. He wears a special glove in order to protect his skin from being ruptured by the claws of the bird. He wears a glove and then he carries the bird on his forearm. And then he takes this into the wilderness and he releases the bird. That proper training is given to the bird that when it is released, it knows that it should not fly beyond the limited purview of the falconer. It knows its boundaries. And when it's time for the bird to come back, the falcon to come back, the falconer whistles. That's the message. Okay, so he whistles or shouts. He gives a big cry. Then the falcon, which is circling around in the sky, high skies, it listens to the whistle of the trainer, that is falconer, and it comes back to him and happily it lands on his arm. He keeps his arm extended and it comes and lands on his arm. And then it folds its wings. The wings, it's a huge span. It's a big, almost 10 kgs bird. Even the falconer should be properly trained in order to hold the weight of the falcon. So this is the symbolism he brings. Why does he bring the symbolism? Now you have understood the bird goes into the sky and it comes back after listening to the falconer whistling. And I also told you that the bird doesn't go away beyond the purview of the falconer. It remains within the boundaries because it has been trained that way. So here, take the falcon, the bird, to be the human being, man. Then the falconer to be the god. Okay. So there is a connection between the god and the human being, like the falconer and the falcon. So the bird knows that it should not go beyond the limits. The bird knows that it should not cross the purview of the falconer. It has been trained that way. So it means the man, the human being, should not go out of the control of the God, should not go beyond the purview of the God, should not try to break the boundaries which have been set by the God. Okay, so what happened in the year 1900s? The man started going outside the boundary. He started enjoying his flight outside the boundaries. Slowly, he started going away from the boundaries, that when the falconer, that is the God, is signaling him to come back. Oh, my child, oh, my son, oh, my daughter, you are going away from me. Come back to me, come back to me. He is signaling. He is sending signals. He is sending messages. But what is happening? The man is not within the purview of the God, so he is not able to listen. God has been sending the messages, but man has gone beyond the network, out of coverage area. Are you able to get this? Okay, man has gone out of coverage area. There is no network in the area the network of God, it works within one fixed area, like everything that is good. But evil things, the network doesn't work. So if man is going out of that goodness and entering that evil sphere, network of the God doesn't work. If the network doesn't work, he will not listen to the messages. That is the beautiful combination he brings between the falconer, that is God, and falcon, the bird, that is man. So the way the bird flies within the purview of the falconer and comes back to the God, that is, comes back to the falconer, man also should be able to explore within the limited region, the allowed, the licensed regions, and come back to the same, and to take refuge under the protective wings of the God. But that connection is lost. The network coverage area is he is outside of it. What happens then? Center cannot hold. Okay, there is no strength in the center. Slowly it is breaking. It is giving way. If it is breaking, all the things will crumble down. Things fall apart. What are the things that have fallen apart? Morality. Morality has fallen apart. Humanity has fallen apart. Spirituality has fallen apart. Goodness has fallen apart. Ethical values have fallen apart. All the things have fallen apart. So now what is to happen? How will they be revived? they will not be revived because the decay is so deep and rotten. It is so fast. If you see the damage that's done into which began in the year 2000 is so fast and penetrating deep. The days during 1980s were so beautiful. Damage was not so intense then. But with the onset of the cell phone, the laptop, everything, now the knowledge is within, information is within our fingertips, which is why we are all going away from him. Because we think that knowledge is just in my smartphone. God doesn't have to give me any knowledge. I don't have to rely on any holy books because it's there in my smartphone. So that's the damage. Now, 100 years ago, what W.B. Yeats felt very bad about the decay, today the damage is even more intenser. What T.S. Eliot in Wasteland felt, it's even more dry and waste and thoroughly barren now. Okay, so now he says that in this world there is only lawlessness, anarchy. Anarchy has been loosed upon the earth. Anarchy is what? Lawlessness. There is no law, there is no order, there is no anything that is bound to one another. So if you say there is no traffic lights, what happens? You just imagine the kind of chaos that would happen at Panjagutta crossroads when traffic lights don't work and there is no traffic constable. Everything gets jam-packed. The entire city comes to a grinding halt if one traffic signal doesn't work. Okay, that means we should be all the time, we human beings, we have no law and order within ourselves. We have no law and order and discipline within ourselves. Discipline and order should be imposed upon us. Imposed, forced, enforced upon us. Only then we listen to the kind of law and order that is there above us. Otherwise, we are above law. We are above everything. That's what our ideas are. So he says, anarchy. Imagine the kind of anarchy that is loosed upon the city of Hyderabad when one traffic light doesn't work. If you just imagine the magnitude of violence that would be unleashed if there is no police department, if there is no law courts, if there is no high court, no nothing, just nothing. What happens? People will not just kill one another, they will even start eating one another. That's the kind of anarchy we can get down to. Did we not observe that in what? Bring me the reference of one text that we have discussed. When there is no law and order, what the capacity of the man would be? Tell me. What is that reference book? If one person can answer, I want to see the person's face. Who is that fortunate person who can give me this answer today? We have discussed one text which tells us that if there is no law and order, we will all become savages.
Lord of the Flies.
Ruhina Unnisa, can you show me yourself? I want to really see you. Can you show me yourself? No or yes? What, Ruhina? Thank you, Ruhina. Congratulations. All of you clap for Ruhina. A wonderful Ruhina. So what happened in Lord of the Flies?
Many little children will become savages.
Yes. So if in Hyderabad there is no law and order, we'll also become like them. All of us. That has been proved in the Lord of the Flies. Isn't it? Now, do you agree with what Ruhina Unisa had said?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So what WB Yeats is telling, he is also reflecting on what T.S. Eliot in Wasteland had said, what Lord of the Flies W.B. Golding had said. If you can see, there is commonality among all these texts. There is a common thread running among all these texts. That man has left the shelter of the God. That man has man started feeling that he is supreme over every other creature. Man has started being under an illusion that there is no God over him. Every text that you have read until now has the same theme. Why? Because this is exactly what the society was undergoing during the first half of the 20th century. Majorly because of the First World and the Second World War, and the impact that it had on the people, and how people started wondering at the machines and not wondering at the God. See, human being, just to take the example of a human being, the human being itself is a miracle. The body of a human being is a miracle. How God has created, it's such a beautiful miracle. We all forget that it's a miracle, that we are all carrying, we are all the symbols of God's creation. We are the extension of his image, and how we should be carrying it with such a sacredness. Isn't it? We abuse the body. We don't take care of the body. We smoke, we drink, we do all kinds of things which are not actually good for the body and which damage. If one small little finger is lost, we would know the difference. If the heart, thousands of wires and a huge machine is switched on in order to keep the heart alive as beating as the operation is going, but God has given it it's so it cannot be really explained how God had given it to us free, and we are not able to honor him. Somebody gives you a beautiful gift, we honor him. No, they give you a diamond necklace. Oh, diamond necklace, wonderful, oh, great, and all that. But God has given such a beautiful life and we are not honoring him. That's the problem. What WB Yeats is telling is that. If one small problem arises in our body, then we realize that God has given us everything free. Everything is given to us free of cost, and he is asking us to experience the beauty of life, and we are only shattering it. We are only misusing it. But if everybody knows this, if everybody realizes this, that we are to experience the beauty of life in every small, minutest thing possible, because this is all created by him for our own experience. But what do is we exploit. We cut it down, forests and everything for our own selfish deeds. Because, man doesn't bring in any other creature into the bracket. He says only man at the center. Human being at the center. Ants, flies, tigers, all these are not a part of the earth. They are also a part of the earth. Mountains are a part of the earth. Tigers are a part of the earth. Forests are a part of the earth. We are supposed to be coexisting. But what man thinks? I am the king. I am the only one who should enjoy. So we are encroaching into forests. We are encroaching into lakes. We are, You know what happened to Hyderabad when we have encroached into the lakes 20 days ago? It's human mistake. So all these are happening because we are so full of excuse me. We are so selfish. We lack conviction, and we all the possibilities that we are born with, we never realize. So innocence is drowned. What he says is innocence is drowned. What is innocence? Innocence is not no. Look at the baby, such an innocent face. That's not actually what innocence is. Babies are innocent because they don't have any jealousy. They don't know what anger is. They don't know what greed is. That is why they are innocent. That is why their eyes are so bright. If you look at the eyes of the babies, they are shining marbles. They're just like shining marbles. Even see, once upon a time, you were also a baby. You had also had wonderful eyes. Even I had wonderful eyes. My eyes might have been very bright and twinkling. Your eyes were also twinkling and bright. Why our eyes were twinkling and bright? Because we are not reflecting any negative energy. We are not showing anything bad through our eyes because we are innocent. We are free from selfish deeds. We are free from greed. We are free from jealousy. We are free from anger. Free from laziness. Free from lust and desires. All those children don't have. That is why they are innocent. So if any person, the innocence is this, free from all these evil things is innocence. This is heaven. To be free from all such bad things is heavenly. If somebody tells that, see, I am free from, if you come across, do you ever come across any person who is free from all these? A person who is not selfish, a person who is not greedy, a person who is not jealous, a person who is not angry, who is not lazy. Did you ever come across any person in this world who is free from all these bad things? If you ever come across that person, look at his life. He is enjoying heaven here on the earth. Where is heaven? We are supposed to be enjoying heaven on this earth by being free from all these things. What WB8 says that innocence is lost. Human beings have become so selfish that there is no space for innocence. So at this point, he says, the second coming should start. God should come back. Maybe in the form of a lion. Or maybe, see, he says that I see an image taking shape. Body of the man and the head of the lion. He is slowly, or the head of the man and the body of the lion. He is slowly moving towards, the earth, so that he can start a second generation by wiping away all the negative things on this earth. Maybe he will fill the earth again with innocence. Sometimes, when things are going so bad, sometimes I feel, when will I go back to 1980s? 1980s when, no fear of anything. Nothing. We would go and play till 8 in the night. Nobody would even bother. We would get into anybody's house. Nobody would bother. Such innocence we really enjoyed. But today there is no such innocence. So I want those days back. Maybe you also want such kind of days back. We were all in connection with each other without the telephones. There were no telephones, but we were connected with one another. Today we all have cell phones, but we are not connected with one another in our own homes. Husband sits in the drawing room. He sits in his own office room. Wife sits in her own room. Children sit in their own rooms. Everybody is hooked to the computer or with the system, anything, but nobody is connected with one another. That's the worst situation we are all heading towards, where the human relations are under big question. When the human relations, human emotions, human dignity, all these are under scanner, then it's a huge problem that things have fallen apart. So he's only hoping that this 2000 years would come to an end and another 2000 years filled with innocence would begin again. That is the meaning of second coming. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it, now is it easy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Fine that you are able to understand. So much of philosophy is there in literature, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever think of
Yes, ma'am.
listening to
Yes.
philosophy in English classes? No. You didn't have an idea, isn't it, Meena?
Ma'am?
You didn't have an idea that you would be listening to a lot of spiritual philosophy.
No, ma'am.
Huh?
I'm listening, ma'am.
No. You all didn't have that idea. I'm telling you. I'm not focusing only on you. You didn't ever think that MA English would be leading you into wonderful life, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
That
ma'am.
is,
It's right.
it's really very helpful for all of us to introspect, to question
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So those of them who join literature, they are under the impression generally that, we can learn English. I would rather say you are learning life.
As
You
if
are
learning some spiritual books, ma'am.
That is exactly what you will gain from literature. Full, the 360 degrees of, opening of our ideas. Not just spiritual levels, but also about the society, about the status of poor people and of women. Many things. Literature helps us to open ourselves towards many layers of the society. It helps us to learn, it helps us to unlearn, it helps us to redo and undo many things. Actually, those of them who read literature, they are the ones who enjoy life better. They enjoy life better than those who are into technical knowledge. If you take the examples of computer engineers or software engineers, they come under severe stress. But those who do literature, they know how to manage the stress. They are trained by many poets like Eliot. I keep telling, last Sunday I went to somebody's house on a visit. So that person is suffering from some kind of a mental breakdown, like some kind of a depression. Because, these days, because of COVID, loss of business and all that, financial losses, it's affecting people's mental makeup. So I was telling them, you please believe in compassion, believe in charity, believe in controlling your emotions. These three will definitely help you to revive and help you to be connected with yourself and with society. If you are disconnecting yourself from the society, there is no happiness. Ultimately, happiness lies in sharing, not just food or material things, but also emotions. That's very important. So, this is what literature teaches us. And I always consider myself very lucky. Every year, whenever I teach such wonderful texts, I feel as if God has blessed me 100 times. That's why I am able to discuss good things with you all. Next. Are you satisfied? Shall we stop
We
here?
are also fortunate,
No, ma'am.
to have such a great teacher, great professor.
Thank you. But my dear participants, Don't you think that I have been talking for the past 2 hours? More than 2 hours. At 2 o'clock, I started talking. So, shall I close it down for today?
Sure, ma'am, sure.
Okay, ma'am.
Because I understand now that you have definitely you have grown in this area. The difference I can see the first day how your understanding was, and today how your understanding is. You it's like a journey for you all, and the journey is helping you to comprehend things very easily. Difficult concepts also you are able to understand, and when I am questioning you are able to answer. So that itself is very clearly telling me that you are all enjoying the classes thoroughly, and whatever is being taught here, you are definitely absorbing them. And so tomorrow we will meet in the last hour, and I will complete the entire section of poetry. Okay? Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Bye.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Bye.
Good afternoon.
Thank
Good
you, ma'am.
afternoon.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Confident, madam.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay,
Good
ma'am.
evening.
Thank you.